Prestige worldwide. Why?
Prestige worldwide.
Prestige Worldwide welcomes you to the following presentation of the League of Extraordinary Dicks.
Welcome back to the L.E.D podcast for a Week 13 review and a Week 14 preview. Back with our guy, Drew. What's up, buddy?
Oh, hey.
How's it been going, buddy?
Oh, besides getting your hiney kicked in fantasy, it's not too bad. Enjoying new facial life,
You do have a sweet stash.
Thanks, man. But
looks sharp. I need Kellen to bring his back like permanently, just like you did.
I
Kellen.
didn't think I liked it at first, but it kind of grew on me. Tiff hates it, but she'll live.
Yeah. Well, I love it. I wish Kellen would bring his back too. So just stash it up all over the place. So.
Oh yeah.
Well, cool. Let's go ahead and jump into the Week 13 review. So first one, we got Carolina Reign took down Grizzly Adam Beards 153-123. Fourth and Schlong fell to the Peeping Tomlinsons 101-94. Dirty Skivvies took down Chicken Little in a very it was a contested matchup most of the week, 138-123. Bowen took down Zano 141-118. Jeff got the upset over Russ, a hobbled Russ Alkire, 102-88, and Matt got a much needed victory over Shaq, 120-92. A lot of movement this week. What are your thoughts on Week 13?
Big time. A lot of people needed wins, got wins. A lot of people who needed a win did not get a win. Russ needed a win to lock up a playoff spot and fell, unfortunately. And then Sarah needed one to fight for that last place, and unfortunately she still has a chance, but her odds are very slim now. Needs a lot of help.
There's 4 teams basically fighting for 2 playoff spots. So there's a lot of movement going on this week. So someone's gonna be heartbroken, and the playoffs start now for those 4 teams.
They sure do. This was a very high scoring fantasy week for everyone as well, which is kind of a lot of in the 120s, 110s or over.
It started off slow. I'm not gonna lie. I was a little nervous. Like people. Okay, but it started off slow for the majority of the league because I don't think until like those 4:00 games people were getting over 100. So between I guess Thursday and the early games. So
one thing I'll never understand from the NFL is why they made Tampa and Carolina a 4:00 game. Bumped it up.
Yeah, it's 2 East Coast teams that no one wants to watch the Panthers right now. Even Panther fans don't want to watch the Panthers. So I don't know why you put that in a late slot. So
no idea.
I guess everybody was too busy watching the Eagles game.
Yeah, I was even watching the Eagles game until it became a massacre on that one. So
I guess we'll jump into some of these Week 13 games from last week. Let's start with Jeff and Russ. Russ definitely needed this game. However, Jeff was able to pull the upset 102-88. What did you see here?
I saw a team that's hurting, and then it doesn't help with Derrick Henry getting hurt, even though it's just concussion. I think he avoided it, but either way, seeing your number 1 player go down doesn't help. But Jeff's team's not looking like Princess like I thought in the beginning of the year. His team's turning around big time, so you never know what's going to happen. Like obviously, like Russ with injuries, but it's going to be interesting. Good game they went through.
I actually say for Jeff's team too, he probably underperformed just a little bit. He had great games from Puka, but Tyler Lockett is so boomer bust. I think he would be happy with 7 points, but he was projected at 10, where he was really could have used the help. It was from Jahmyr Gibbs, only putting up 5.9, but was able to. I guess what I'm saying is Jahmyr Gibbs is just not playing up to what he has been in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's true. And it's very rare to see his Garrett Wilson go on the bench. which was really the best play for him, but just weird to see it.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have the quarterback situation figured out, and Zach Wilson's telling him, "No, I'm not going to start." So,
Yeah.
I imagine there's no one more frustrated in the Jets organization than Garrett Wilson.
Oh yeah, he's hating life. You can see he's frustrated on the field because they show him they show those games way too much, but the Rodgers effect helped that one.
Yeah, I think they had already committed to showing those games because of Rodgers. So,
Yeah.
jumping over to Russ's team, though, it looks big day for the Tampa offense as far as they were able to run the ball very well, but Mike Evans was able to benefit from the long ball most of the game. And when Mike Evans is scoring, Chris Godwin's usually left with low production. That's what happened here.
Yeah, Godwin's a very good PPR receiver, but the touchdowns are hard for him to sneak in there. Yeah, and then Mike Evans' long touchdown wasn't even a long one, just like a slant and go, and just ran the rest of the way. So
Outran the entire Panther secondary on 75 yards. They couldn't catch him. And then a player we talked about last week that we thought was going to be big for Russ was Zach Moss. It's a fairly high scoring game against Tennessee, but he was just not able to get it going, only putting up 6.7 points.
No, Tennessee's deep run front four is pretty stout, so it's hard to get a run game going against them. So I think he'll bounce back this week, more likely for Rusty.
Yes, so he's got Cincinnati coming up this week, which I mean they're ranked 15th as a total defense. So hopefully they can get that going for Russ because he's going to need it. Because as we mentioned, he's one of those teams where the playoffs start that next week. So,
yeah, Russ is winning again, and then if he loses, he's got a lot of hoping and praying to go on.
Oh, for sure, he's going to need some help. Let's jump onto another important game here. Let's go to Brendan and Kellen. Brendan was able to beat Kellen 101-94, and these are two teams that were currently in the playoffs at the time of this matchup, and since Kellen has been knocked out as a result of his loss. Kellen's still very much in it, but as we were talking about before the show, Brendan's also much more banged up after this game.
Yes, he sure is. And then didn't help Kellen with. They had a bunch of injuries in this game. Dallas D didn't perform like they normally do, even though the rest of his offensive players from Dallas did well. But Ramondre Stevenson started the game hot, and then unfortunately the high ankle sprain. So I like Kellen's team. He gets, hopefully for his sake, he gets Jefferson back this week, which is a big game for him to get him back when you got to win to get in.
Yeah, with Jefferson in the lineup, he's currently favored to beat Russ this upcoming week. So that'd be a huge boost for him to try to get in the playoffs. But yeah, the loss of Ramondre is big for Kellen. Ramondre's not blowing away people by his stats throughout the year, but he's been a consistent contributor. Again, he's not putting up mind-boggling numbers, but that consistent number you can depend on every week is not available. So he's gonna have to find it somewhere else.
Yep, and then same can go for Brendan's side with Brian Robinson getting a hammy injury. He's not the flashy back, but he'll get you the 10 to 15 points a game that you need to win fantasy. And so
10 to 15 is big. Yeah, 10 to 15 is big. Fortunately for Brendan, I would say this is not he put up 101 points, but this was not the standard he has come to expect over the past couple of weeks. But he was able to pull out the win. Justin Herbert only put up not even 8 points, and which as a result, Keenan Allen had a bad day. And we've talked about for weeks how crucial that particular stack is for Brendan's success. So, but he was able to find the help other places with Rashad White and then Sam Laporta putting up a big day.
If it wasn't for C.J. Stroud, he's probably offensive rookie of the year, and he's showing it in the fantasy stat lines too. Another big game for him. Goff loves him, so that's one of those counterbalances for Kellen this week that hitting Laporta affected him.
Another big loss for Brendan. Tank Dell. Tank Dell was probably the 1A for C.J. Stroud, and in Houston, and he's out for the season. We'll talk about that a little more in the injury report. But again, Brendan had a offer under Tank Dell and was still able to get a big win. So,
But yeah, Brendan locked up a playoff spot. So congratulations to him. The Chargers defense was the one that helped him lock up that spot. It looked like put up an offer against the lowly Patriots.
5 sacks and a turnover. It's pretty easy to do when you're the team you're playing is just absolute trash on offense. So,
yeah. But congrats for winning and good luck, Kellen, this week. Hopefully he can. Well, I don't know who do you pull for, Russ or Kellen. It's a toss up.
Yeah, you got a defending champ and then a 3-time L.E.D champ, and they're both coming down to the wire. And honestly, the division's not. I'm not sure if Brendan's locked up the division yet either. Yeah, I think he has actually.
Yeah, he sure has, because even if he loses, he still has a better division record.
There you go. Congratulations, Brendan. The 2023 Lodge Division champion. That's huge.
So divisions
All
are
right,
set? Or division winners
division
are
champions are set. Let's do one more, and then before we move on to this coming week's games. Another one that had big implications was Joe versus Sarah. Now this one we thought going into it, it looked like Sarah was favored, so she had a really good chance to win. And actually, for the majority of the week, she was winning until Jordan Love is starting to look like a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, he's playing pretty good. Now, definitely a surprise for Joe, but I think the bigger surprise was Debo.
Absolutely.
Debo kind of took over the offense, and then James Conner had a revenge game against Pittsburgh. But you've always preached on the wide receiver quarterback connection, and that worked out for Sarah this week with Nico and Stroud. So she's got things to look up for.
And with the Tank Dell injury, that's probably going to be an even stronger stack there. So she needs a win next week, and she also needs some help. But she's taking on Matt next week. So if she can get the win, I think she's going to need, I don't know. She's still in it, but she needs like Kellen to lose, or Kellen and Bowen.
Yeah. And then she has to have both of them lose. So, which it can happen. Bowen's running against a team that just can't not score under 130 right now. No matter how many bye weeks they got.
Yeah, so very strong connection there. Devontae Smith's side, he finally wanted to show up for. And then A.J. Dillon contributed. I mean, with Aaron Jones out, he almost 10 points. Man, that's respectable from a running back too. So she put up 123, almost nearly 124 points. So that can win you some playoff games. It's just when you run into a performance like you mentioned, Debo Samuel. I mean, that's just tough to overcome.
Mm-hmm. It sure is. But good luck to her.
I guess you gotta give Joe props because Jordan Love was not on his team when we recorded last week's show. He was not on his team. We made that a point that Josh Allen was the only one he had, and Josh Allen was on a bye. So a waiver wire pickup of the week got him a win, I would argue, with Jordan Love putting up 23, almost 24 points.
Yep. And with me losing, or even with him just winning, locks up his first round bye as well. So first round buys are set.
Yep, and there's also one set in the Princess Cup too, which would be a good time to transition into the current L.E.D standings. So after Week 13's results, Carolina Reign is still in number 1. They have locked up the number 1 seed. As Drew just mentioned, Dirty Skivvies locked up the number 2 seed. And seeds 3 through 6 are still up for grabs. Peeping Thomason's currently sitting in 3rd. Grizzly Adam Beers in 4th. Huge Hefner 5th. And Happy Little TDs in 6th. With Sarah on the outside looking in right now in 7th at 6 and 7. She's actually only in 7th because Bowen has scored more points. They have the same exact record in overall and in the division. So everyone else, it looks like, everyone else has locked up a spot in the Princess Tournament. That would be the One-Eyed Monsters in 9th, the Player Haters in 10th, Pioneer Cornflakes at 11th, and Steel City has locked up a first round bye in the Princess Tournament. So I know he was really looking forward to that in the Facebook group today. So I'm happy to announce he has locked up that first round bye. I've been in the Princess Cup several times. You have won the Princess tournament. I mean, what? Yeah, I was gonna say, tell everybody what that experience is like.
It's very unfortunate to one be in the Princess Cup, and then two to have a first round bye, and your team put up a good week to where you could have beat someone in the Princess Cup, but you had to watch and just lonely wait for next week, and then your team just craps the bed like they did all year. It's not fun. It's not fun at all.
It's not fun. I had a first round bye last year too, and I felt the same way. I usually have the best performances. Like if you get that first round bye, like man, that team went off this week. I'd have beat like 4 of the 5 or 4 of the 6 teams. But
yep,
it's not fun. It's very helpless to. No, you only get 2 chances or 2 cracks at it, and as opposed to the 3 cracks at it.
Yeah, it's not fun. I strive to not be in the Princess Cup. I think as everyone else does because I think Princess Cup might be a little more stressful than actual playoffs, but it's up for debate.
Well, I think that's a good point actually because what's coming down the line in the Princess Cup. Like if you don't do well, like that dress is coming. Whereas if you make it to the championship bracket, even if you lose, you're just done for the season. But if you lose in the Princess Cup, you know what you're going up against, or that punishment's just lingering over your head. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I was able to get by Bowen last year, and I don't remember how close it was, but I do remember being stressed the whole day.
Yeah, I don't remember if it was close because you had Brady and Evans go for like 3 tutties.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because I remember watching, because I was watching in the bed with Kevin last year, the playoff game against me and Kellen and that, and then I was like, well, Cody just finds luck anywhere he gets it, huh?
But yeah, Princess Cup, no fun, and God bless Bowen for doing it 2 years in a row.
My man.
All right.
Still, was he ever a princess though? Is the question.
Yes, and I will go to bat for him on this one.
Just because he rips his own suit doesn't mean he wasn't princess.
So he wore a dress, but he ripped it, and I guess that was the spider web Halloween witch thing was his replacement. So I applaud him for at least still trying to find a backup, but I think he did much better this year with the fat inflatable ballerina.
It was good. It was a good one.
Let's move on to the injury report here, as we touched on a couple of them already. A big one here for Matt. Trevor Lawrence out with a high ankle sprain. Don't know how long he's going to be out, but usually if it's high ankle, it's usually going to be a couple weeks, which, as we just touched on, going into the Princess Cup, that's not what you're wanting to hear. We previously touched on Ramondre Stevenson out with the ankle injury. He's expected to miss time. Brian Robinson also out with the hamstring injury. These are finicky. Like, hamstring could be, hey, we're just going to hold him out for the rest of the game, or he could be out for, like Justin Jefferson, 6 to 8 weeks.
So you never know, unfortunately.
Tank Dell out with a broken fibula. He'll be out for the season. Amari Cooper left the game with a head injury late in the first half. It just said head injury. It didn't come out and say concussion. So head injury, whatever that means. Kenny Pickett also left the game with an ankle injury. They're saying he's going to be out 2 to 4 weeks. With the they were trending in the right direction until this last week against the Cardinals, the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. But we'll just see what old Mr. Trubisky can do. And then finally, quarterback Derek Carr, he's out with a back/shoulder/concussion. So just beat the hell all the way down there in New Orleans.
Ouch.
But listen, I know he's on New Orleans now, but old Jameis holds a special place in your heart. He comes in, he plays so well.
Oh, he can throw for 4 touchdowns and 400 yards, or he can throw for 150 and 5 touchdowns or interceptions. You know, I don't miss him. I don't miss him.
He always seems to Chris Olave gets his like good targets when Jameis is in. He seems to spread the ball around, but I mean, if he was super good, he'd be starting quarterback. But I know exactly what you're talking about. But he just seems to be a consistent spark for New Orleans. So I mean, that's good for fantasy reasons. Let's go ahead and move into the Week 14 matchups here. Fourth and Schlong
Quite
taking on
possibly
Hugh
game of the
Hefner
week.
for sure.
Win and get in for Russ, and Kellen is win and need some help. And with like we talked about earlier, right now they're expecting Justin Jefferson to come back, and against a pretty shoddy Las Vegas passing defense, who knows what's going to happen there? And then Russ is banking on Henry being not in concussion protocol, and maybe he's able to get Adam Jones back. You never know. It's something that we gotta watch on this week.
Yeah, Justin Jefferson would be big. I feel like he's been healthy for a couple weeks. I think the plan originally was to bring him back after the bye. So we'll see if he's as explosive as everyone hopes he is, because I think that's going to be the only reason or only way to expect big points from him. Because if he's out there like still hobbled, they're only going to go to him only so often, or maybe limit his snaps. So for Kellen's sake, I hope he's 100% healthy.
It's gonna be a good game. But like we talked about earlier, Ramondre's down for Kellen now, so he's got to kind of rely on a shaky Jets offense running back as a starter now.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, Brees Hall is good. Brees Hall is a good player on a terrible offense. If when they feed it to him, he usually puts up pretty good numbers. So having Brees Hall as a backup to Ramondre, there are worse options. So I think he's going to be okay. But it just depends on what Jets offense shows up. I mean, is it going to be 3 points, or are they going to put up 24? We just don't know.
You never do.
Also got Devontae Adams taking on Minnesota. Minnesota's ranked the 11th ranked defense, so that'll be a fun game to watch for Kellen, is the Minnesota Las Vegas one, because they'll have points going up on both sides of the ball. And then Jake Ferguson against the Philly defense. I mean, Jake Ferguson's been pretty solid for Dallas, man.
I think anybody on Dallas offense right now is putting up some points. So, I mean, they're riding the hot hand, and Philly's coming in limping. I know they signed Shaq Leonard, but he probably won't play this week, and so it's gonna be a good game for Kellen on that one too. Just for him as a Dallas fan as well. Seeing what goes down there.
Rashee Rice has been trending upwards. And he seems to be the only wide receiver that can catch in Kansas City, besides Travis Kelce. But yeah, he's trending in the right directions. He put up 20 points last week and 10 points this week. So anytime you can take double digits from is he a rookie or is he a second year guy?
He's a rookie, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's good production. So I guess I would say, looking at this, Kellen, even though he doesn't have Ramondre, he's still relatively healthy, which I think makes him dangerous. Again, he's currently favored over Russ at the moment. So let's switch over to Russ's team. Stephon Diggs taking on Kansas City. That's a big game for both Buffalo and Kansas City. So my thought is that, Buffalo's desperate right now, so they want to put up as many points as they possibly can. And Kansas City is looking to get right after they just lost this past week. So the both teams are going to be pretty desperate. Hopefully that means high scoring for Russ. And Josh Allen just continues to look towards his best player. The note here that Yahoo has on Derrick Henry says that he has avoided the concussion, so that's good. He's not even in concussion protocol. So I would not expect Derrick Henry to miss any time. And he's taken on Miami this week. Miami's the 24th ranked defense. Excuse me. So they're like, they have it listed here as red, so that must mean that that's a tough matchup. So we'll see what happens there. And then I guess just looking at this right now, I'm more impressed. Or I guess I would take Kellen here. I think the line of matchups are better, and then the players are better. Is that what you're seeing?
Yeah, I was definitely leaning towards Kellen on this one. I know Yahoo's saying 55% win chance right now. I like more of like a 65-35 right now for Kellen. Just he's like you said, or while you were talking, a little healthier. Dallas's D's gonna be a little pissed off about getting waxed on. So, and then Stephon Diggs has kind of been quiet the last couple weeks. If I'm not mistaken. Well, besides Philly, he had 4-4. So that's gonna be a big game. Buffalo is always out to try to beat Kansas City. For Kansas City, always giving them the beat down. It doesn't matter when. So hopefully, it's gonna be hopefully a high scoring game for Godwin in Tampa. So maybe he gets points there. I don't like Freiermuth anymore, though. I'll say that because of Kenny Pickett going down. That kind of hurts him. So I wonder
agree,
how he plays that
100%.
one.
So to say, just to review the particular situation, so Russ is currently in 5th. Kellen is currently in 7th. Russ is 7-6. Kellen is 6-7. So if Kellen wins, the tiebreaker goes to points, which is actually in Kellen's favor right now. Even with Russ losing, Russ can still make the playoffs. He's just gonna need me to beat Bowen, because if I beat Bowen, it would take Bowen out of the 6th spot, and Russ would drop to 6th. Kellen would jump up to 4th. So both of these teams can still make the playoffs, but it is in their best interest just to take care of business themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. So I didn't even notice that they have the same division record. So if Kellen wins, he'll be 3-3. Russ will be 2-4. Big game. Big game on the line there.
Big game.
Big game on the line. But good luck, boys. I know Russ doesn't like us picking him, so I'll go Kellen. Yeah.
Well, you're just doing what Russ asked. So. I'm just saying, right. I think Kellen's the healthier team right now. So let's move on to this next one. Another bubble team is Sarah. We got Chicken Little Flea Flicker taking on the player haters. Sarah is, as we mentioned, she's fighting for her playoff life right now. If she wins, she still needs a little help, and I think that would be if if Kellen loses. If Kellen loses and she wins, and then I beat Bowen. Is that right?
So, yeah, Kellen and Bowen have to lose for Sarah to get in.
And we never know what's going to happen, but that's a very good possibility.
She's catching Matt on a lowly low right now, unfortunately, with Christian Kirk and Lawrence getting hurt. And then I know, yeah. Oh man, what a game! Those are gonna be the 2 games I watch this week. I mean, I'll be watching mine, but since I've already clinched playoffs, it kind of like not really too worried yet. I'm just praying for no injuries, and so I'll be watching more of the who gets in, who gets out drama this week, and so it's gonna be a good one.
Oh yeah. So again, I guess just looking at, as we mentioned, the CJ Stroud, Nico Collins stack for Sarah is probably it looks more established now with Tank Dell out of the picture. Hopefully she can get some good production from Devontae Smith still. They are playing Dallas, but as Seattle proved last week, I mean, Dallas's defense can be had. They just got to go throw it. So hopefully they can, for Sarah's sake, Devontae can exploit that a little bit. Javonte Williams, I think he slowed down a little bit this week. Yeah, he only put up 8 points, and he was doing, at one point he was doing 11, 17, 19. So he's slowing down over the last couple of weeks. So if you can get him going, that would be a big help. And then, you just hope you get Travis Kelce to do Travis Kelce things.
Yeah, well, Sarah gets James Cook back this week, so she'll probably throw him over A.J. Dillon. The problem is C.J. Stroud and Nico get the Jets' feisty passing defense, so it's going to be an interesting one to see how that plays out. But I don't think a team's really slowed down the Texans this much this year.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, as I mentioned, the Jets for some reason just always play well against good quarterbacks right now. They tend to, they're just limiting themselves to explosive plays and things. So let's jump over to Matt's side. Trevor Lawrence, as we mentioned, expected to miss some time, and I don't see a quarterback on this roster right now. So I'm gonna have to
Hopefully
go
he
do some
gets,
dumpster diving.
say, might get the Joe luck. Pull out a quarterback, put up 23 points.
No kidding. That'd be good for him. Now, looking at Matt's situation, Matt is currently in 10th spot, so if he's not had the first round bye, which is you don't want the first round bye in his situation. So if he can get a win, he would avoid that. He still might be okay because he's got a better division record than Zeno. Both teams are 4-9. Matt's got 2 division wins, where Zeno's only got 1. So even if he loses, he still might be all right. But that's if Zeno wins, then that's going to put him in the first round bye. So he's not entirely safe.
Well, I mean, Zano's track record against me is pretty well. So
that is true. Yeah. Historically, Zeno tends to beat you up pretty good.
Mm-hmm. So never count his team out, So
never. Drake London, and Chris Olave here. I mean, not a bad wide receiver stack.
No, but he might throw Zay Flowers in there. I don't know if he's officially done his roster changeover yet from last week, but who knows? Achan, came back to Achan form last week. I think he saw. They were saying Achan dominate second half snaps. I think that was more because the blowout that was going on than anything. And so, but either way, he put up his normal 20-something points, and he's got Bijan.
Finally doing Bijan things consistently.
Mm-hmm. And Evan Egram with his first touchdown of this past game on Monday night. I mean, they're not looking bad for Matt. It's just, can he catch the break or two he needs to stay out of Princess is the question.
He put up 120 points last week. So, I mean, this team is definitely capable of doing it. And, I mean, he's also got Jerome Ford and Gus Edwards coming back this week. So, Jerome Ford put up almost 13 points. So, that could be a boost for him as well. So, clearly he's capable of doing it. You just got to hopefully he can find a quarterback to pick up Trevor Lawrence's slack.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But I got Sarah this week.
You got Sarah this week. I'm intrigued by what quarterback he goes for, because there's not a lot of good options out there. So, yeah, unfortunately, just because of quarterback play, I like Sarah this week as well. Still love you, Matt.
I mean, yeah. Love you too, brother. Yeah, there's really not. I mean, Pickett's out. Mac Jones has been benched. Zach Wilson's refusing to start. Bryce Young is terrible. I mean, there's literally no one to go to.
I mean, he can ride the Desmond Ritter. Desmond Ritter put up decent points against Tampa. Yardages and stuff like that against Tampa last time, so that might be where he goes.
Good luck, man. That's all I'm saying. Let's see. Moving on to the next one. Joe taking on Dirty Skivvies. Not a whole lot going on here. Joe's already clinched the number 2 spot, as we previously mentioned, and Shaq's got the number 1 seed and the Princess Cup. Or the number 12 seed, but he's got the first round bye in the Princess Cup. So not really much to play for. I guess both teams just hope they stay healthy here.
Yep. So a lot of question marks on Joe's side. He might be getting Goddard back this week, so that could be a positive for him, for Joe, just to make his lineup even more beefier than it needs to be.
Well, they to that point, I mean, it sounds like they tried to play him last week.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
I think it was one of those, like, they got up to game times and they were like, we're probably not gonna push it. But I think you're right. They may try to give him a go this week.
Yeah. And then you expect San Fran to do San Fran things. There's old Pete Carroll saying Kenneth Walker might make a return, but he's getting a stout San Fran defense, so who don't know how much you can trust in that one.
I just read that, though, but Pete Carroll he's always so optimistic about injuries, even though they are much worse than they are. But for Joe's sake, you would hope that Kenneth Walker can come back, because he's going to need him as one of his horses going into the playoffs.
Well, I mean, lucky for Joe, if they don't play him this week, save him, and then he'll more than likely have Kenneth Walker back for the second round of playoffs when he gets into his first game.
Yeah, so not a lot on the line for this game. So
No.
we're going to move past it.
Yeah, good luck, boys.
Let's move on to your game versus Pino Cornflakes. You've got this one. You've got a playoff spot locked up, but you're fighting for playoff seeding. Zano is looking to win so that he can get out of that Princess Cup first round bye.
Yeah, and Cooper Cup finally made an appearance again. But came out of his little hole getting a touchdown. But Puka Nakua stole that show. So, and then he gets Lamar back. And Joe Mixon had a pretty solid game last night. And Kamara's just been putting up stupid numbers since he's been back. The exact reason why I traded George Kittle is because of the hit or miss he is. It's either really high or really low. And so he's caught him on a couple lows of late. So I expect nothing but big game for Kittle this week against Zano. And he's also running the double tight end, as we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, I was just looking at that. I don't know if I'd do that. Well,
So-
I mean, we just talked about. I don't know. You got to toe the line here when you're, because I don't know if Zano's listening, but all I'm saying is Ramondre Stevenson's down, and there might be a good backup to play. That's all I'm saying.
I'm sure he'll end up putting Zeke in once they probably officially announce it that Ramondre Stevenson's not playing. So it'll be a good play for him, Pittsburgh. But he loves Pittsburgh, so I don't know if he really wants to play someone going against his team.
He'll do it, or he would do it. He's not above it. So, yeah, and you mean you need this one, and you just need everyone to come out of this game healthy.
Yeah, it's mainly want people to come out healthy. If I'm looking for anything in this game, it's for Austin Eckler just to show me some type of life in him. Because right now he is being a very big boom or bust. And I'm not sure what's going on.
Very sporadic.
I think what his problem is he's trying to do that fantasy thing online. Stick to football. You can do fantasy later on in life. You don't need a podcast. Something's not working. Let's change it up a little bit. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. You didn't give up all that draft capital to go get Eckler, so
No.
for him to put up this performance.
Yeah, I gave up CeeDee Lamb, and as we all know, what's going on with CeeDee Lamb right now. Not a good trade right now. But,
yeah, you need to pick it up in the playoffs here, Eckler. But your boy Kyron's still putting up big numbers.
Yeah, I look forward for Kyron coming back, and he's playing well, so I'm good about that. I think my biggest fear about my team now is the tight end spot, because I thought Schultz was kind of a lock, but his hamstring injury kind of is hurting, and that's one of those things where I feel like it might be a Justin Jefferson type of situation where who knows what they're going to do with him.
Yeah, I mean, he was getting pretty good amount of targets from C.J. Stroud. I mean, he had a season high 11, so 11, 6, 3 for a touchdown, and then he had a bad game last week, but
yeah, well, that's when I think they re-aggravated it. That's when he hurt his hamstring, because when they were down, he was nowhere to be seen on the field or something like that. So, but I got Likely, so Lamar loves his tight ends, so I think I'm okay.
Hopefully he starts playing well. Isaiah Likely does, because even when Mark Andrews was out to start the season, he only had like one or two targets over 2 weeks. So
well,
you need that to pick up for sure.
Who knows? Like I said, this week's not really worried about it. I think the only positive that comes out this week is there's no chance I can play Brendan's team. Woohoo! And
well, I mean, we just talked about it. You might want to catch Brendan now. So.
Well, that's very true. You never know if you want to catch Brendan. I know who I don't want to catch, and that's Bowen.
I will do what I can for the league this week and see if I can knock him out.
So it's gonna be a good match. unfortunately, I think I picked me against you last week, and it backfired. So I'm gonna go with Zano this week. I like his win. I like him to get the win.
Listen, you're not picking against you. You've got the statistical data to back it up. Just statistically, Zano wins more than you. So
Oh
you're
man,
you're just yeah, you're just being well informed. That's all.
I'm just taking the Vegas odds.
That's right. Uh, moving on, we got two more games here. The Peeping Tomlinson's taking on the One-Eyed Monsters. Brendan has clinched the division, so that's good, and a playoff spot. But he's looking up to get the number 3 seed. And as we saw last week, and as we saw against me, Jeff is very, very capable of taking out the big dogs. So Brendan's only a 52% favorite here. So what do you see when you look at this one?
I see a decently hot team in Jeff's coming to a decently team in Brendan's who's cooled down, but I don't see the Chargers staying as soft as or as cooled down as they were last week. So that's my fear for Jeff, but he's got a red hot Purdy coming in. He gets his main that he's loved since week 1, Dalton Kincaid back, who's turned into a bright spot for Buffalo. It's gonna be it's gonna be a good matchup too. Or you keep pointing out too, Lockett's one of the biggest boomer bust players in fantasy football history. And then Pollard's showing to back up, and then Gibbs is, Detroit's offense is always there, putting up points.
Yeah, and I guess another point to put here is we just talked about how Kenny Pickett's out, and now they're relying on Mr. Trubisky. So, I mean, Najee Harris is listed as questionable, but between him and Jalen Warren, I mean, there could be an increased role for him, so they could see some more production from the running back spot. So, yeah, I mean, you talked about the Chargers stack there with Herbert and Keenan Allen. I mean, the AFC West divisional games are always pretty tough. I do look for someone like Patrick Surtain on Keenan Allen. He's definitely going to follow Keenan Allen. This will be the first time they've played each other this year. So, I mean, Surtain is great, but Keenan Allen, he's putting up like 15, 16 catches a game, is unreal. So that may limit his production a little bit, but that's going to be a big key for him. Amon-Ra St. Brown, as you mentioned, with Detroit's offense puts up points. Yeah, I mean, Chicago's defense is not that great, so you can go out there and get some points if you need it. But keep relying on Keaton Mitchell. That's honestly the weak spot, and I hate starting a tight end in the flex. That's just me personally.
Yeah, but I think Taysom Hill might be one of those bright spots for tight ends because he's not a tight end, he's not a running back, he's not a quarterback, he's a put him where you want to type of player, and he can put up some points for you. And with Jameis being hurt, when Derek Carr went down, they put Taysom Hill in behind the backfield a lot more at quarterback. So Brandon might know something we don't know.
I guess. I think as a Panthers fan, I just freaking hate Taysom Hill. God.
No, I'm right with you. I think I hate him.
He's so gimmicky. Like, I don't know. I think he's gonna be one of those players that I hate just as much as I did like Jimmy Graham when Jimmy Graham was in his prime.
Jimmy Graham's back to his Saints ways too, which is worse. So he's still down there, caught a touchdown pass.
No kidding. And then, as you mentioned, Rachaad White going up against the Falcons this week. Man, he's just been good, man. He to your point, he's just been very, very solid. 18 points last week against the Panthers, then 12 before, 14, 16, 25, 14, 12. I mean, this cat he came to play this season, and I know he was drafted, but that was a very, very underrated pick, in my opinion. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah, I think, oh, God. I want to say, I think when we did the whole draft, like recap, best pick, worst pick, and stuff like that, I think I might have brought up Rachaad White for Brendan because Baker's always been capped and checked down, and that's most of Rachaad White's points have been from the screen passes and just Baker bailing out and just throwing it down, and then him just making moves. But the run game, he's came a lot better as a runner of late. Me watching him, and so yeah, Brennan. I think he got like sixth, seventh round, so he got a pretty good steal from there.
Yeah, I was very impressed. Didn't really. I mean, I knew the kid's name before we started the season, but I was like, no way he's gonna be that big of a stud. So it's a 50-50 matchup right now. Brennan doesn't really need it, but Jeff could also use the win just to get a little bit better seed in the Princess Cup. So who you got here?
Um, I actually like Brendan to win just because of his team's been a little more consistent this year, and with Herbert and Keenan Allen having a down game last week, I don't see him having 2 down games in a row.
Yeah, I think I'm also going to go Brendan. I actually think if Jeff had a little bit better defense than the Panthers, I'm not. I promise you, I'm not a self-hating Panther fan. I'm just very frustrated. But I know New Orleans going up against or Panthers going up against Jameis. You don't know. If he had a little bit better defense, I think I'd give him the edge. But it's a 50-50 toss-up right now. Jeff needs it more than Brendan does. So we'll go from there. And then one more game to cover. Carolina Rain taking on the Happy Little TDs.
What a barn burner
Who
this
do you
is
like
going to
here?
be.
Who do you like here?
You know, it's hard to go against you, Cody. It really is. I think if it's not the player you expect it to be, it's another player coming in to swoop in, put up some magical points. So I like you right now, but you know he's got Warren playing Thursday night. That's going to be one of those big tells. And then you got. I think your biggest game to watch is obviously the Sunday night football game in Dallas and Philly.
Yeah.
It's going to be a high scoring game. I have a feeling. And then you're hoping for the stack not to hit with AJ and Hurts.
Yeah, this game has a lot of playoff implications. I've locked up the number one seed, so it's not so much affecting me in the short term. But as big as Chris Bowen fans as we've been this year, I don't want to play him in the playoffs. I do not want to play him in the playoffs because this team is that dangerous. Hurts, CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, Jalen Warren getting increased role, Isaiah Pacheco. I mean, Chuba Hubbard's about the only good player in Carolina anymore. So, I mean, this team is dangerous, and they have been dangerous for quite some time. And they're very capable of putting up 130 points.
Yeah, and he's got McBride on a bye week this week, and putting him in the starting lineup in a playoff game. I mean, it's a dangerous looking team there. Obviously, he just needs a win to get in. If he wins, he's in. Bowen. Mm-hmm. And so I'm sure he'd rather see that. And no one, if I've learned over my fantasy days, never to put your luck into another team scoring points because it's just going to break your heart. And so Bowen needs to handle his business against you, and then he can go from there onto the playoffs.
Because this would be about the time for me to lose again, just because me losing would cause ripple effects.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we want you to win one more, win this week, then maybe you break that trend in the semifinals. But no,
maybe I do want to lose this week so I can get back on track.
I mean, your team's looking to ride. I mean, there's not really a fault in your team. Let's just put you on a pedestal right now, and so you can glisten and shine right now. The only fault you really have in your team is quarterback, but Jalen Hurts can easily run for 150 yards any week. Or Justin Fields. I said Jalen Hurts. But I mean, I like your team. I don't even know if you scored less than 100 points any week. And that's saying something. So
I did a couple times, but
I mean, obviously I don't pay attention as much to your team as much as mine, but when you catch, I think even when you have your bad games, I think you run into a team that just doesn't have their best either. So you've been a team of destiny this year, so it's going to be intriguing to see where you go, see if you can tie Russ on the pedestal or not with 3 wins.
Well, that's certainly the goal, but we gotta get there first. But some
No.
things that worry me is we touched on Devon Achane coming back. Now I know you alluded to those were second half points when Miami was up big, but that kind of production could easily earn you the starting role, or we're splitting time with the starting running back because your production is so good. So, I mean, that's the storyline we've been talking about. You specifically have been talking all year long is that Achane Mostert split. So that worries me a little bit. And then the other one is even though TJ Hawkinson has been really, really good all year, Justin Jefferson is expected back. So that's one big, big playmaker that could take some targets away from Hawkinson.
Sure can. So, and then, you have Ayuk, which has been one of Purdy's best targets, but there's so many weapons on that team. You can't feed the ball to everyone as much,
I think for someone like Ayuk, if you can just if you hope to get close to that projection, I think you're happy. But because he's definitely got the capability to go beyond those projections, but if you can get in the ballpark of that, like anywhere from a 9 to a 13, I think you're happy.
Yeah, I tell you, there's someone not really to worry about. Tyreek Hill. I think you're locked there. I mean,
I watch what I say about Tyreek Hill because I don't want to put it out in the universe and upset the fantasy gods. But Tyreek Hill has had a good season. I just put it like that.
no shit. He's had a good season.
But you know what I'm saying though. If I go up here and start praising Tyreek Hill and he goes out and he breaks his pinky toe, I just can't do it. I cannot put it out in the universe like that.
I know, but I mean, when your wide receiver is scoring quarterback numbers, it's pretty solid. So
yeah, so hopefully he continue that. But I don't want to play this team in the playoffs. It's hard to beat a team 3 times. I mean, that's more real life football than fantasy, but you get 3 cat cracks at someone, you're more than likely going to get through at least once.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna be a fun week to watch. Starting Thursday. I don't know who all has a lot of. There's not a lot of big time players gonna be going Thursday night for fantasy, so I look forward to Sunday.
Should be fun. All right, so that's every game for week 14. Let's so what's your game of the week this week?
I think clear and obvious has to be old Rusty and Kellen. That's a win and get in game, almost or pretty much, because
absolutely,
it's a win and get in game no matter what. It doesn't matter who wins that game. They're in the playoffs if they win that game, and if they don't, they need a lot of help.
Yeah, well, you're right because both teams control their own destiny. I mean, when we talked on Sarah, if Sarah wins, that's great for her, but she also needs a little help. Bowen also is in the same boat. If he wins, he's in. But with both teams fighting for their life here, I think that's also going to be my game of the week. Just because there's so much on the line. That's all. There's just so much to play for.
Yeah. So I'm intrigued. It's gonna be a good week.
Well, this is a lot of action this time of year, as we've said over the past couple of weeks, and good luck to everybody this week fighting for a playoff spot. And for those of you in the Princess Tournament, I hope you win so that you can get an easier playoff game. So
next week we talk playoff games. Exciting times.
But that's going to do it for this week. So signing off.
Bye bye.
Peace.